Hello, all of you. I am Ms. Amrita Zadhav, ma'am, your physics teacher, and I am welcoming you all to the part 7 of our session of thermodynamics. As we have covered all the part 6, in which you have studied many more important terms which are there for the thermodynamics. Even in part 6, we have covered classification of processes, that which is actually half part of it, and half part or remaining part we are going to cover in today's session. So let's move towards the next slide, which will explain you what we are going to study in today's session. So before moving towards today's lecture, as obvious, we are going to revise that what we have studied in the previous one, that is in part 6. So as you all know, that we have studied about classification of thermodynamic processes. Now, what is thermodynamic process? Firstly, thermodynamic process is nothing but when, or it is a procedure through which initial states will changes to the final state. Suppose I am saying Pi is the initial pressure and Pf is the final pressure, then procedure by using which that pressure it changes from initial to final, that procedure is known as thermodynamic process. As it is related to thermodynamics, so we are naming it as thermodynamic process. So according to this, that the state variables, we have classified the thermodynamic processes. So the first one which we have already learned is reversible and irreversible process. What we have studied in reversible and irreversible process? Reversible, in which the process which get reversed, so initial state is conserved. Is it constant over there? Yes, because the process through which any state variable will come to initial state again, so it will be reversed. In case of PV diagram, we can show it as, if it is P, if it is V, this is A and this is B, suppose. So when A is coming up to B, the path will be like this, AB. And in case of reversible, it will reverse back. It will be like that. So it will trace the same path but in opposite direction. So that was reversible. And what was irreversible then? In that, initial state will not come again. So it will be the fixed procedure, or it will be a fixed process, in which when A is going back to B, it will not become return. So that will be irreversible process. Okay. So we have seen some more example of irreversible and reversible processes also. And the second one, which is isothermal process. Isothermal process, which we have discussed so many times. So what is isothermal? It is nothing but when temperature remains same, we are called that process as isothermal process. Then the third thing, or the third classification, was isobaric process. What we have studied in isobaric process? In isobaric process, pressure remains same throughout the process, so that we are calling it as isobaric process. Okay, so these three that we have already learned, I hope you all got the concept about these all three classifications of processes. Now let's move towards the remaining four, which we are going to study in today's lecture. So which are they? Let's see. So here are the points. Here are the four processes. Which are they? First is isochoric, second is adiabatic, third is cyclic, and fourth is free expansion. So these four are the remaining classification of thermodynamic processes, in which we are going to study some more examples which are there in thermodynamics. Okay, so let's move towards the first, which is isochoric process. And here is the slide which explains you all about isochoric process. These are the key points. By using these key points, you can remember all the things which are related to isochoric process. Okay, so when we are explaining any kind of process, we are usually use PV diagram to represent it, because we are using two state variables in that. So to explain it at a glance so that it will be very easier for us to study, we are using PV diagram over here. Okay, so let's explain isochoric process, which is the first one of today's lecture. So in isochoric process, core, that means volume. So in case of isochoric process, volume is constant. So we can say it as delta V is equal to 0. As V is constant, delta V will be 0. But as we all know that, what is W? W is P dV. But as V is equal to 0, so we can say that even W is also equal to 0. So in any process, when volume remains same, there will not be any kind of work done during this process, because W, according to the equation, mathematical equation, W is P dV. As dV is 0, we are getting W as 0. So that's why work done will be 0 in case of isochoric process. Now what happens to the first law of thermodynamics in such kind of processes? So as you all know, what is first law of thermodynamics? Q is nothing but delta U plus W. Am I right? Yes, of course I am right. So if W is 0, so this can be cancelled out. So we are getting Q as only delta U. So the heat which is provided to the system will be there within the system as internal energy only. Okay, so this is the main thing of isochoric process. What was the main thing? According to the first law of thermodynamics, Q will be only delta U, because W becomes 0 automatically when V is equal to 0. Now, after studying that, we can say that we are going to study all these terms by using PV diagram. So, for PV diagram, as you all know, on y-axis pressure is there and on x-axis volume is there. A is initial state and B is final state. So as volume is constant, so it will be along this line like this. In this case, pressure increases from I to F, but volume remains same. So this is all about isochoric process. Okay, so the main things was V is equal to 0, so W is equal to 0, and by using thermodynamic equation we can say that delta U is equal to Q, which indicates you that the heat which is given to the system will be stored inside the system as internal energy, and it is used to increase the internal energy. Okay, so this is the main purpose of isochoric process. Now let us see thermodynamics of isochoric process. Again, as we said that Q is nothing but delta U, but in case of specific heat, what will be delta U? Delta U is nothing but NCV delta T. This is the equation for delta U in case of specific heat at constant volume. Okay, so what will be work done? As we said that work done is 0. So by putting value of delta U and W in equation of thermodynamics, which is Q is equal to delta U plus W, we are getting the final equation as Q will be as it is. What is delta U? this NCV delta T. What is W? W is 0. So we are getting Q as NCV delta T. We are getting Q as NCV delta T. So in this case, some things that you have to remember. Which are the things that you have to remember? By looking at this equation, we can say that this delta T could not be equal to 0. This should not be 0 at any cost. Why is it so? Because as we said that Q is nothing but delta U. What is delta U? It is internal energy. So as internal energy got increases, what happens to the T? T also changes. So delta T will not be 0 in this case. Okay, so this thing you have to remember while studying isochoric processes. And what another terms you have to remember? The basic, which is V or delta V is equal to 0. This is the first. Second, by using this we can say that W is equal to 0. Third, delta U is equal to Q. And fourth one, delta T cannot be 0. These 4 or 5 things you have to remember while studying isochoric processes. So here is the points. You can see that we have already discussed. Okay, so this you have to remember. I hope you got the concept of isochoric process. Alright, now let's move towards the next one, which is adiabatic process. Now what will be adiabatic process? As I have given you some basic things about all these processes. Adiabatic process is the process in which there will be no transfer of heat from the surrounding or to the surrounding. Okay, that means what? There will be no transfer of heat within the system. That's it. If no transfer of heat is there, that means Q is equal to 0, obviously. Now again we have to consider the first law of thermodynamics. What is that? Q is equal to delta U plus W. What is Q over here? Is 0. So we can say that W is nothing but minus delta U, or delta U is equal to minus W. So by looking at this, what you can conclude from this equation? So internal energy is exactly reverse to the work done, is it? No. So the answer for this question is, by looking at the equation of delta U is equal to minus W, we can say that when work done is positive, then delta U, which is change in energy, will be negative. Okay, if W comes out to be negative, so if W will be negative, this negative and this negative sign will get plus, will convert into plus 1. So what will be delta U in that case? It will be positive. So we can say that when W is positive, you all know that work done is positive only when it is done by the system to the surroundings. When work done is by the system to the surrounding, then it will be positive. And when work done is from the surrounding to the system, then it will be negative. Okay, so in such a way we can explain this equation, which is delta U is equal to minus W. Okay, so after that, as I told you, while studying all these processes, we have to study in terms of PV diagrams. So what are the PV diagram? Again, on our y-axis it will be pressure, on x-axis it will be volume. So by looking at this, it will be a single curve in which pressure increases and even volume increases. Only the term which is 0 is heat. the term which is 0 is hit. Okay, so this is you have to remember while studying the term adiabatic process. Okay, now in case of thermodynamic equation, what are the conclusions and what are the mathematical forms of it? Let's have a look at it. Now for adiabatic process, the equation for it is PV raised to gamma. I will write over here in the biggest font. PV raised to gamma is equal to C. Now what is gamma? Gamma is nothing but a ratio of specific heat at constant pressure and constant volume. So gamma is nothing but Cp by Cv. These all terms we have studied in the KTG chapter, which is kinetic theory of gases. We all have studied these terms in that. So if you have any query regarding this, please have a look at the chapter which is KTG. Okay, still if you have query you can ask me. So what is gamma? It is Cp by Cv, and for adiabatic process we can write the equation as PV raised to gamma is equal to constant. Now in terms of thermodynamics first law, it is delta U is nothing but Cv delta T. Okay, because it is at constant volume, and delta T is what? Is nothing but change in temperature. So after considering this value of delta U, we have to find out the work done. Now while studying, before moving towards these terms, I just wanted to ask you one thing. When I told you about gamma, which is Cp by Cv, which is nothing but the ratio of specific heat at constant pressure and specific heat at constant volume, it is a ratio of both. Okay, so is it a constant term or a variable term? So the answer is it is a variable term. So on what factor it got variable? It is variable. So while we are studying atoms, there are number of types of atom: monoatomic, diatomic, polyatomic. So the value for gamma will be different for monoatomic, for diatomic, and for polyatomic. So what will be that? So in case of monoatomic, gamma is nothing but 5 by 3. Even this we have studied in KTG. For diatomic, it will be 7 by 5. And for polyatomic, it is 4 by 3. So these are the three values which I have given it to you. Okay. So if we have to consider an example of something, we can put these values in the final equation. But now we are not going to substitute this value. We are just going to put gamma over here. Okay, we are not going to use these values. That means numerical values of gamma. Let's keep it simple and we are going to use only gamma over here. Fine. Now moving towards that part which is delta U, which is Cv delta T, and we have to find out the work done. The work done is nothing but integration of P dV within the limit Vi to Vf. Okay, so as we know, what is PV raised to gamma? It is constant, right? So what will be value for P? P will be C divided by V raised to gamma. By substituting this value of P in this equation, what we are getting? Instead of P, we are going to write C by V raised to gamma. So I have substituted that value in the equation. Then we are getting W is equal to C integration dV divided by V raised to gamma from Vi to Vf. Okay. Now as we know that C is constant, so we cannot put that constant term in front of the integration sign. So I have kept outside the integration sign. Now we have to solve this equation. What is the integration of 1 divided by x? It should be dx over here. So what will be integration of 1 by x? As it is in the denominator, I can write it as x raised to minus 1 dx. Now what will be integration of x raised to minus 1? It is obviously x raised to minus 1. What will be that? X raised to integration of x raised to n dx is nothing but x raised to n plus 1 divided by n plus 1. So it will be x raised to minus 1 plus 1, is it? Divided by minus 1 plus 1. Is it true or not? Yes. But in case of x, we directly write integration of 1 by x as log x. So integration of 1 by x can be written as log x, not in kinds of x raised to n. Okay. So let's forget about that. We are going to find out the value for v raised to minus gamma dv. What will be that? It will be v raised to minus gamma plus 1 divided by minus gamma plus 1. Is it? It is as simple as that. So by putting this value over here, this is the equation. C into v raised to minus gamma plus 1 divided by minus gamma plus 1. So as gamma is having negative sign, it is being written like 1 minus gamma. It doesn't matter. It is just the not skipping actually, arranging the terms. Okay. So it is within the limit vi to vf. Now we have to substitute value of v as first vf and then to vi. By substituting that value, I am getting it as w is equal to, as 1 minus gamma is constant, so it will be outside the bracket. See, 1 minus gamma into bracket, as v raised to minus gamma plus 1 is there, so negative sign is there, so it will be 1 divided by. Okay, so this is what I have written over here. Again I will tell you, as v raised to minus gamma plus 1 is there, I am just writing it in denominator. So what will be this? In case of denominator, it will be 1 divided by v raised to, instead of minus gamma, it will be plus gamma. Instead of plus 1, it will be minus 1. So here what you are getting? V raised to gamma minus 1. We have to put value of limits over here. So here it is vf gamma minus 1 minus vi gamma minus 1. Now what will be next? As we know that pv raised to gamma is equal to c, or we can say that pi vi raised to gamma is equal to pf vf raised to gamma. These all are the same things, because pv raised to gamma is nothing but the constant. So we can say like this. So instead of constant term, I am writing pf vf for the first term because it is having final value, and here pi vi raised to gamma as it is having initial value. Instead of c, I am writing this is nothing but c. Fine. Now after taking out common terms and by cancelling out all the things, we are getting the final equation as this. I will tell you how the final equation comes out to be. As we know that it is pf vf raised to gamma, and in the denominator it is vf raised to gamma minus 1. So while it comes in the numerator, it will be vf, it will be negative, so minus gamma plus 1. So vf and vf bases are same, so the index will be add up. If adding up the index, this gamma and gamma will get cancelled, so you are getting only pf and vf as it is 1 over here. Okay, so next is same applied to the pi vi, it is raised to gamma. Now you are getting the last term. Okay, so here what you are getting. Fine. Now what will be work done in that case? It will be W is equal to 1 minus gamma PF minus PI VI. So that will be delta PV actually. Okay, so as we know that PV is equal to nRT. So it is being equated to this kind. Okay, so after studying all these things about this adiabatic process, we have to remember some things. The first thing that we have to remember is PV raised to gamma is equal to 1. This is the equation of state for adiabatic process. Okay, and Q is equal to what? It is 0. What will be delta U? Minus W, and delta T should not be 0. So these are all the things which you have to remember while studying adiabatic processes. Okay, so now let's move towards the next one, which is the another process. Now the last two processes are really very easy to understand, and there is no necessity for the thermodynamic equation because they do not have the equation of state. Okay, now we'll see the simplest one, which is cyclic. Now as the word itself says, it is a cyclic. What will be that? A thermodynamic process that returns a system to its initial state in a cyclic process. So it is called as cyclic. This process will be going in the same sense from initial to final, from final to initial. This is continuing. So this is nothing but the cyclic process. Okay, so what terms will be 0 or what terms will be constant in this case? Can you tell me all? Okay, so I will tell you the answer. For cyclic process, the total change in internal energy will be 0 because it is continuously under the procedure to change from initial to final. Okay, so internal energy will be 0. Now what will be the according to first law? If delta U is 0, Q is equal to W. So the amount of it which is been given, Q is equal to W. Amount of it which is given to the system will be converted into work done. So in which case we are using such kind of principle? Yes, we can use this principle in heat engines. So the heat energy which is applied to the system is completely converted only into work done. So this is the main purpose of cyclic process. Now one question can come in your mind that what will be the PV diagram for this? So the PV diagram is here. So how it looks? Obviously on y-axis it is pressure over there, and on x-axis it is volume over there. Now as it is cyclic, A is initial, B is final, as you all know. When A is changes to B, that will be path 1, and again B is changing towards A, that is by using path 2. It is not using the same path, it is using the another path. While I am saying it is using the same path, it will be a reversible one. Okay, so this is using two paths for converting initial to final states. So this is all about the cyclic process by using PV diagrams. Okay, so the terms that you should remember while studying cyclic processes is nothing but Q is equal to W. So it is been used for the heat engines. Okay, so this is the main thing which you have to remember. So I have written over here, working of heat engines is a cyclic process. This is the very easiest one. Now the last one that we have to do is free expansion. So I guess we have studied about free expansion. In what kind of point? In what points we have studied about free expansion? Can you remember, all of you? Yes, we have studied the free expansion in the point heat added during the thermodynamic forces. While we adding heat to the system, we have already seen free expansion. Okay, let's forget that. We will explain or we will study it again. So what is free expansion? I will give you one example for it. For free expansion, the very best example for that is while we are using a balloon, and if it burst, if we pin up that balloon, what happens? All the air will come out. So why is it so? Suddenly it shrinks and all the air will come out of it. So this is free expansion. So it will be different for thermodynamic processes that we have discussed earlier. Okay. Now what about the PV diagram for free expansion? No. Free expansion cannot be explained by using PV diagram. It cannot be plotted on it. Okay. So let's see some points regarding that. These expansion are adiabatic expansion. That means there will be no heat provided to it or given out to it, and there is no exchange of heat between the system and the surrounding, as there is no work done. So Q and W both are equal to 0. So according to first law of thermodynamics, what will be delta U? Obviously it will be 0, because we are saying that Q is nothing but delta U plus W. Okay, this is the first law. If Q is 0 because it is adiabatic and W is 0, so we are getting delta U is also as 0. So while studying free expansion, all the terms which we are considering are 0. U is 0, Q is 0, W is 0. Okay, so it got freely expanded within the system. I will give you another one example for free expansion is we have studied in case of heat added to it. So that was the example for it. Balloon and puncturing of tire also. Puncturing of tire is also an example of free expansion. Okay, while suppose we are going to exam center and all the doors are closed. Okay, so all the students are waited at the gate, and you are waiting for the gate to be open. While the gate got open by the watchman, all the students running to their classes, as they all know where their classes are. So what happens in that case? The gate, when it is closed, all students get blocked to the next side of the gate, and another side of the gate which is vacant. Okay, and to the another side, many students are there which are waiting for gate to be open. While gate got open, all the students are running to their exam centers or to their exam hall to write the exams. So in a second, when gate got open, all the students are running, and this is nothing but they are finding their space to move. They are finding their way to go to the halls. So this is nothing but example of free space, free expansion. They got freely expanded, and before that they were completely bounded by something. So it is adiabatic one. ओके, कळालं आहे मी तुम्हाला जे काही सांगितलं आहे ते. सो दीज आर द पॉईंट विच वी हॅव लर्न. फर्स्ट इज आयसोकोरिक. आयसोकोरिकमध्ये आपण म्हटलो आहे कोणती टर्म कॉन्स्टंट राहते? व्ही कॉन्स्टंट राहते. ओके, जर का व्ही कॉन्स्टंट राहत असेल तर वर्क डनसुद्धा 0 येणार आहे. देन सेकंड पाहिले आपण विच इज ॲडियाबेटिक प्रोसेस. इन ॲडियाबेटिक प्रोसेस हीट इज कॉन्स्टंट और इट इज नॉट बिंग ट्रान्सफर्ड. हीट ट्रान्सफर होत नाही. सिस्टीमकडूनही सराउंडिंगकडे होत नाही, सराउंडिंगकडूनही सिस्टीमकडे होत नाही. आता ही कुठली काइंडची सिस्टीम आहे? तर आपण 3 प्रकारचे सिस्टीम्स पाहिले आहेत. ओपन सिस्टीम, क्लोज सिस्टीम आणि आयसोलेटेड सिस्टीम. आयसोलेटेड सिस्टीममध्ये आपण हे पाहिले की हीट इज नॉट एक्सचेंज्ड. नॉर मॅटर. मॅटर पण एक्सचेंज होत नाही, हीट पण एक्सचेंज होत नाही. सो ती सिस्टीम आपण इथे ॲडियाबॅटिकसाठी वापरणार आहोत, विच इज आयसोलेटेड, ज्यामुळे एनर्जी ट्रान्सफर होणार नाही आहे. ओके, सो हे झालं सेकंड क्लासिफिकेशन. थर्ड इज सायक्लिक. सायक्लिकचं इनिशियल टू फायनल जातो पूर्ण प्रोसिजर, देन अगेन इट कम्स फ्रॉम फायनल टू इनिशियल. हे कंटिन्यू चालू राहणार आहे सायकलसारखं. सायकलचं व्हील कसं कंटिन्यू फिरत राहतं अंटिल यू स्टॉप, तशी ती प्रोसेस चालू राहणार आहे इनिशियलकडून फायनल, फायनलकडून इनिशियल. पण मेन थिंग इज इट डू नॉट फॉलो द सेम पाथ. त्यांचे दोघांचे पाथ वेगळे असतात. ओके, सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट सायक्लिक. आणि शेवटची पाहिली आपण फ्री एक्सपान्शन, ज्याच्यासाठी मी तुम्हाला एक्झाम्पल सांगितलं एक्झाम सेंटरचं. गेट बंद असेल आणि तुम्ही वाट पाहताय, खूप सारे स्टुडंट्स गेटच्या बाहेर, गेट कधी ओपन होतं यासाठी. ज्या क्षणी गेट ओपन होईल त्या क्षणी पटपट 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 सगळे मुलं आतमध्ये एंटर होणार आहेत. सो हे जे एंटर होतात दे आर फाइंडिंग देअर वे टू गो टू द एक्झाम हॉल. हे पटपट पटपट ज्यावेळेला मूव्ह होतील त्यावेळेला त्या टाईप ऑफ एक्सपान्शनला आपल्याला म्हणायचं आहे फ्री एक्सपान्शन, जे मी बलूनचं एक्झाम्पलसारखं दिलं आहे आणि टायर पंक्चर झाल्यानंतरचं सांगते आहे. ओके, सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट फ्री एक्सपान्शन. आता फ्री एक्सपान्शनमध्ये कुठले स्टेट व्हेरिएबल्स कॉन्स्टंट राहतात? सगळे. सगळे म्हणजे कुठले? फर्स्ट लॉ ऑफ थर्मोडायनॅमिक्स आपण म्हणतो क्यू इज इक्वल टू डेल्टा यू प्लस डब्ल्यू. फ्री एक्सपान्शनमध्ये क्यू पण 0 आहे, डब्ल्यू पण 0 आहे आणि डेल्टा यूसुद्धा 0 आहे, कारण फास्ट आहे एक्सपान्शन. आणि फ्री एक्सपान्शन कधीच पी व्ही डायग्राममधून दाखवता येत नाही. इट कॅन नॉट बी प्लॉटेड ऑन पी व्ही डायग्राम. का? कारण आपण आत्ताच बोललो व्ही पण कॉन्स्टंट आहे, डब्ल्यू पण कॉन्स्टंट आहे आणि डेल्टा यूसुद्धा कॉन्स्टंट आहे. सो जर का सगळ्या टर्म्स कॉन्स्टंट असतील, ते 0 असतील, तर आपण प्लॉट काय करणार ग्राफवर? That's why we cannot plot that on graph. So this is all about today's lecture and today's session. I have explained all the things in English as well as in Marathi. So I hope you all got this video, and still if you have any query, please do ask me. I will try to solve this. Okay. Thank you so much for watching whole video.